Hi. I'm Avinash here from 23 OVTech. Before I start talking about the content, I would like to thank my family and my fellow friends for the support, because without you guys, I wouldn't have started this channel, because I didn't have the courage to start this channel, although I'm a tech enthusiast. So please continue to support me by subscribing to the channel and follow me on Instagram at 23OVTech for further updates. Okay, let's start talking about the content. Flagship smartphones are dying. Is it true? Actually, no. It's quite the opposite. Smartphone manufacturers are releasing phones left and right that if you're planning to get a phone right now, you will be overwhelmed by the options that is available right now in the smartphone market. In recent years, do you remember when was the last time a phone company brought an innovation to their phone by bringing new features that just isn't an incremental update from their previous flagship? I get it, it's hard because smartphone manufacturers are putting their latest and greatest to their flagship devices, but those devices are not breaking any grounds or taking any risk. In the past, going from one generation to another, we usually get a tangible benefit, and usually the device look very different from each other, such as iPhone 7 and 8 to iPhone 10, Samsung S9 to S10. There's always something new in these devices, like a big speed jump, fingerprint scanner to Face ID, or a significant reduce of screen to body ratio, aka bezels. But as years goes by, smartphone manufacturers are going to a bottleneck that smartphones started to look and feel very similar, like a metal slab with a glass. We have reached to a point where upgrading from one generation to another generation of flagship makes the iteration pointless to the general consumers. I'm not saying that the latest iteration is not good, but most of the specs and features are not fully utilized by the general consumers, like the heaps of the RAM that most people won't feel, and the camera features where a lot of people overlook and just simply use the default mode, and the processing power which most of the people will not push on a phone. Most companies ignores that fact and manufactures phone with overkill spec sheets, and therefore increase the price of the smartphone that exceeds the $1,000 price range. However, I'm not saying that there isn't any sort of innovation in the entire phone market. You just have to look beyond the flagship market and start looking at the concept phones and niche devices. I say this because most of the innovation takes place in their concept phones and niche devices. For example, currently high refresh rate displays are being hyped, was initially introduced in a gaming phone, but at that moment most consumers thought that it's a feature for gamers only, but they didn't know the fact that having a high refresh rate displays make their phone buttery smooth, like carrying out a daily task, swiping, opening and closing apps. In conclusion, if you're a tech enthusiast, I would like to advise you to look into concept phones and niche devices. But if you're a general consumer, I would advise you to hold on to your older flagship smartphones without upgrading it each and every year. That's all for now. Thank you so much and catch you in the next one. Peace!